Good evening and welcome to another episode of the Fantasy Debate with Sam and Tate, brought to you by Fantasy Focused and the Original Hooters. I'm Sam Holt, joined as always by my wonderful co-host, Derek Tate. Derek, how are you on this very wonderful evening? It's late where you're at.
It's a little bit late, but I'll tell you what, I'm just so juiced up to talk about some wide receiver average draft position that I got to stay up. I got to stay up for it. I was already watching the Lakers kick the hell out of the Portland Trailblazers, by the way. So that's why I was kind of up a little bit late.
I mean, I am definitely grateful to be looking at that ESPN update. I was in the middle of another podcast, so I did not get to watch the game, but I was excited to see that absolutely slaughtered. So very excited to see that. I mean, but the Lakers always do this to me. And I mean, it's the fourth quarter Lakers. This last game, one before today, I was just, why are they living and dying by the three and not making the threes? And then you just get all frustrated. I mean, I had a very in-depth conversation with my mom. She has a lot of opinions as to how the Lakers should be coached, and it's not happening correctly.
Yeah.
If you think I'm wily, my mom about basketball is like me on football times 10. Like, she's just, they don't understand what they're doing. And like, oh my God, like another level.
Damn. I was not expecting that to be your mom's cup of tea. I thought she was going to be straight football, just like you, but nope, I was wrong. I mean,
mom likes soccer and she likes basketball. She loves basketball. She's always been a big fan. We're a big sports family. Like, we literally can get behind most sports. I mean, I grew up also just enjoying golf on a Sunday, and everyone's like, I can't watch golf. I'm like, no, you totally can watch golf. Get in the hole. Like, come on. How do you not get excited?
I'm sitting here trying to come up with catchphrases because you're supposed to, I have to cover golf. So it's like that birdie goes chirp, chirp. Like, shit. It's so bad. Like, I turn into like a nature voice too. He's on the third green or some shit like that. Anyway.
Oh my gosh, I love that. That's stupid. And he's approaching the hole. Nice and very. Oh, he's tapping in. Oh, and then he misses. It's like
go from that and then straight into like a a soccer announcer, like, it's in the hole.
That's how they should commentate golf, is like how they commentate soccer. That'd be really good. But we are here tonight to talk a little bit more about our wide receiver ADP. This is part 2 of our study, guys. If you've missed the other one, please go back on YouTube or Spotify and catch our last episode so you can get down with our wide receiver ADP study. We're talking a little bit about rankings and where people are going. And just for your reference, we're using Fantasy Football Calculator right now to go through this ADP study. You can get a lot of different ADP studies everywhere. We're just trying to be consistent and use the same one for this. So that's where we're at today. And just a little bit of wide receiver news to kind of kick us off here. Tate and I were just talking about how Tyreek Hill pulled his hammy just a little bit. Just
that guy that right now you're probably spent your first or early second round pick on. Yep, that guy pulled his hammy today. It's called a mild strain, to be exact.
Mild strain. Okay. I mean,
well, now I'm mildly concerned if he's on my damn team. Thank you for trying to downplay it, but yeah,
you made me, I started sweating when you said that, because I have him in Dynasty and he helped me win my championship last year. And he's not someone that I want, dinged in any way, shape, or form. I want him being held precious and safely, get him to the field. That's all I want. Game 1. But I mean, I feel like hamstring injuries are dime a dozen in football. And I mean, there's always such a range in them too. So it's hard to just immediately say, okay, I'm staring completely clear away from Hill because of this injury, because there's lots of different types. He could be totally fine in a couple weeks. We don't know. But then this could be lingering and nagging into the rest of the season. So it's hard for me to, as much as I love him, immediately abandon him. I don't want to abandon him.
It's hard to navigate through all of the beat writers right now, all of the noise. I mean, I don't know about you. I love checking, and I love the fantasy football Twitter community and even the Reddit community, because they're all on that shit like 24/7. And anything that gets posted, they retweet. That's interesting. Like, in particular, there was somebody, I want to give him a personal shout out, but he was literally posting all targets and receptions and total numbers, almost stats, for anybody at the Philadelphia Eagles practices today. And Jalen Reagor apparently caught 7 passes and 7 targets. I mean, I wanted to be a smart ass and kind of retweet and ask, well, was anybody actually covering him with those 7 passes that he caught? But I mean, right now, because of the fact that we don't have preseason games, all of the fantasy football community is trying to get their hands on any research or any sort of information that they can to help process and analyze for their upcoming fantasy drafts. It's a very trying time and different. It's honestly, it's a challenge for fantasy football season. I love it.
It definitely is a challenge, and it's important to not have a blinder on when you're looking at all these news updates, because a lot of it is, we see it every year. It's hype, it's buzz, is there smoke where there's fire? Like, you just have to take all of these things with a grain of salt. Oh, he's looking really good. This coach says he's doing really good. This quarterback says he's catching passes. This guy's going to ball out this year. Take it all with a grain of salt. You got to take the stats like you normally do and just run through them. I mean, there's so many times in the offseason where someone shows out in even a preseason game, which again, we're not going to get this year, but
JJ Arcega-Whiteside. Yeah. JJ Arcega-Whiteside looked really good last season.
He looks really good. And yeah, we know how that panned out.
And so, I took him to Client Author. Sorry. Continue. I sorry. I mean, you guys need to cover that on one of your podcasts, but I digress. Continue though. Yep, I just did that. I went there. Sean Astin in that movie anyway.
50 First Dates is definitely going to be on there.
I can't. Once I start, I can't stop. It's like Pringles.
My goodness. All right. After Tyreek Hill, though, let's talk a little bit about another receiver that also got dinged, and that'd be AJ Green, who kind of starts off where we kind of left off in the last episode, in that 6th round in this ADP study. AJ's right there at the top of the 603. I mean, I know that you're not. I'm just going to let you go. How about you just begin a Tate rant?
I'll sound off. No, I mean, I don't want to start off with a rant because, rants are just, it seems like I'm throwing shade at people.
I mean, you're definitely not going to throw any love at AJ Green right here.
Not right now. Like, when's the last time we've seen a healthy AJ Green? It was like the middle of the 2018 season?
Yeah.
It's been a while. It's been a hot minute. Mm-hmm. And right now, they franchised him, even though he basically came out and said, look, I want a deal. I want a long-term deal. I've been faithful to this franchise. I've been one of the premier receivers in the National Football League when healthy, and the Cincinnati Bengals are playing hardball with him, and they slapped him with a franchise tag. And all of a sudden, I mean, I thought that he could have came back last year with that ankle injury. Now, granted, again, if AJ Green's body said that he couldn't do it and he really was legitimately injured, I'm not trying to say the man was unprofessional or anything like that. I'm just saying that my gut tells me he's not happy that he didn't get a long-term deal. He got hit with that franchise tag, and now in the it's not the same exact situation as it was last preseason, but now he's got another nagging injury in the preseason where he's missing practices. And guess what? The Bengals decided they have a contingency plan if AJ Green decides to pull this crap, because they said that he has they spent their 2nd round pick on T. Higgins out of Clemson. Yeah. He can play. John Ross, even though he's still not with the team, thoughts and prayers go out to his family, his wife, and his child, of course. So I mean, he's going to be out indefinitely, and he's doing the right thing by that. Mm-hmm. But they have Tyler Boyd, Auden Tate. I'm just wondering, they drafted T. Higgins for a reason, and the writing may be on the wall. If AJ Green is missing practices and is tweaked his hammy, and he's had major durability issues, I'm just saying that we're kicking this ADP study off. I'm staying away from AJ Green. It's in the 6th round.
So, I mean, looking right here with the players that are right next to him there, I mean, given this news, I mean, for me, even before this, I was going to go, if I had to choose between this top 3 right here, you've got Marquise Brown, Stephon Diggs right there next to AJ Green. I mean, I would prefer either of them at this point over him.
Give me Hollywood. I mean, Hollywood. I mean, I like Hollywood Brown. And he was, speaking of receivers that were coming into the season last year with injuries, the man was recovering from a Liz Frank injury, his foot. And that's why I'm exercising caution when it comes to receivers or any players, really, skill position players that are dealing with injuries, lower body injuries heading into the season. Like you're hoping and optimistic that they get healthy, but why take the risk? Like, you're already taking a risk when you have other options that are healthy on the board. Why add to your risk when you're investing in a player? I get their upside and all that stuff, but I'm just staying away. Hollywood Brown with the guy who threw the most touchdown passes in the league last season, last year's league MVP, Lamar Jackson. I would rather have that upside with Marquise Brown, even though AJ Green's done some great things in the league.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I mean, I love Marquise Brown's upside. I feel like he has a lot of potential. And I feel like you said, Lamar Jackson, every year, I mean, every year I say that like it's been 10 years, but it feels like it's been a long time.
He's been
because
a
his
while.
impact has been huge on this league. And I feel like, we've been continually scratching the surface of different layers of Lamar Jackson's game. And I feel like it's just going to get better from here. So I definitely love him. And I feel like, looking right here, I would much rather have Marquise Brown, over Stephon Diggs as well here. Although I do feel like Diggs is going to have a really good year with Josh Allen. But I feel like, we talked about this with a little bit with the running backs. Do you have that same concern with receivers with Buffalo? Do you feel like there's a cap on their touchdowns because Allen will just rush it in?
Well, has Stephon Diggs ever been a, throw me a back shoulder or a fade inside the 5-yard line, goal to go situations? No. And in fact, his game is more so being able to win by creating separation and getting vertical. So with the guy that probably has the strongest arm alongside Patrick Mahomes in the National Football League, I think it's really a match made in heaven for Stephon Diggs. We just hope that Allen, becomes a bit more efficient with his accuracy, a bit more consistent in that regard. In fact, one of the very few videos that's actually posted on Twitter is your boy Josh Allen dropping a 40 or 50-yard post right in the bucket to Stephon Diggs. So, Diggs certainly represents that upside, but if you're giving me Stephon Diggs or Marquise Hollywood Brown, I think there's fewer targets to compete with because John Brown is still there, and there's really not a second quote-unquote receiver on the outside that really is going to compete for targets for Marquise Hollywood Brown, unless you're a Miles Boykin truther, which I'm not talking shit about him, but just saying that I like Marquise Brown's situation a little bit more than Stephon Diggs, so I give him the nod for that reason.
Sure, I get that. And I think, guys, I see you guys jumping in the comments. Please go ahead and sound off.
So late, and people are joining us. I love it.
I love it. No, I think when someone that joins us all the time, Dried Ocean, thank you for tuning in, brings up someone that's in this 6th round that we need to talk about next, and that's Devonte Parker. He says, I think Devonte is the best option at the 6th round, and I do think he's a fantastic option here. To get Parker this late, I think also just speaks as a testament to how deep this league is. You mentioned off air just how many leagues you've gone 0 wide receiver and how far you've gone with 0 wide receiver. Is Devonte Parker someone that by now would have ended up on one of your rosters given some of your mocks?
Well, there's a handful of players that could have ended up on my mock, or not even mock, but we're actually, the real bullets are flying right now. We're not playing paintball anymore. We're actually in a full-on skirmish. And sorry, a terrible analogy probably, but
no, it works. Let it slide. It's fine.
But what I'm trying to get at is, I thought that Devonte Parker's explosion really took place more so towards the back of the season. Once one, Ryan Fitzpatrick got under center full time, and 2, Preston Williams is there. And outside of this back half of the season, Devonte Parker has been just someone that flashes talent here and there. If you want to go with him, that's fine. Yeah, he's fine there in the 6th round. I would rank of these 4 players. Let's just rank these 4 players, right? AJ Green. I would have Devonte Parker 3rd above AJ Green. I'd have it Hollywood Brown, Diggs, Parker, and then AJ Green.
I agree with you there on that order as well. Like we said to start this off, AJ Green has been, a little bit injury prone, dinged up. Haven't seen him healthy in a long time. So just hearing that he tweaked his hammy, is not giving you any assurance that, he's not going to also start the season a bit, dinged up and hurt. But yeah, I like that. I like that order a lot as well. I see a lot of potential here. And I think really just between these 3, Marquise, Diggs and Parker, I feel like this just shows how deep the position is to me. More than anything is that you've got so much depth there.
Yeah, look at the next round. Look at the very next round. It's crazy.
I know, it's insane. And someone bringing up too, we've got someone joining us on the Twitter too, the FF engineer. Hey, what's up? Oh my gosh, I got to be on his podcast and it was super fun. He's on board with Parker here. He likes Fuller, but not more than Parker. I agree with you on that one for sure. Thanks for joining us, guys. Really please jump in the comments. Let us know who you're loving, who you're not liking. And if you have questions about any drafts that you guys are currently in, please go ahead and throw those up in the comments.
I want to ask one question when we're talking about Will Fuller, though, because speaking of which, he's averaging going
speaking of dinged up.
I mean, he's right there with Julian Edelman. And then right here in this area, the one guy I don't like is Michael Gallup, but we'll get to him in a second. Then there's Brandon Cooks. So Fuller going right before Brandon Cooks kind of makes a little bit of sense to me. And then Jarvis Landry. And that's what we're looking at pretty much here in the 7th round. And then Tyler Boyd. By the way, of all these names I just mentioned, Tyler Boyd is the one I like the most personally. But, when it comes to Will Fuller, I want to ask you a question. If his injury history was not taken into account, where would you have Will Fuller?
I mean, he would be higher.
I mean, how much higher though? I guess.
I would say, at least 1 round higher for sure. I think maybe even 2 rounds, maybe the 5th round, just because with Hopkins not being there, targets got to go somewhere. And I feel like Watson's not going to throw it any less. Like, this is going to be a high-powered offense. Deshaun Watson is an elite tiered quarterback. So I feel like those targets got to go somewhere. And Will Fuller is, when healthy, he's a fantastic target. So I do love him there. I love him in that position. I think that really his injury history just keeps him this low in the draft.
Right. I mean, I got to say that I think it's like end of the 3rd, 4th round if injuries weren't taken into account. Now, of course, injuries are, and he has a lengthy injury history. I totally get it. And I'm not trying to just overlook that. Will Fuller, though, I mean, I think he is the receiver to own out of Houston. No disrespect to Brandon Cooks, who's had a great NFL career, but his concussion history, speaking of injuries, scare the living hell out of me.
Oh, sure. I mean, I feel like this could be, if you weren't looking at the concussions, a similar argument that we just had with Fuller.
Right.
I feel like this could be a revitalization of his career, having Watson as his quarterback and just being able to be utilized in that way. Could be, boomer bust touchdown, but also maybe really good in DFS. I feel like there's a lot of potential there, but yeah, it is just the injuries and the concussions that just have you worried.
We've seen his potential, though. I mean, he's already played with 2 Hall of Fame quarterbacks. I mean, and Drew Brees and Tom Brady. I mean, obviously he did some good things with Jared Goff too, and Goff's not on that level, but Watson, certainly one of the best things he does. I think he throws one of the best deep balls in the National Football League. So it's still a good place for him to land, to have fantasy value and relevance. But just the concussions, personally, I'm more scared of his concussions than I am of Will Fuller's, nagging lower body injuries and stuff of that nature. I mean, he's had some major ones.
Well, sure. I mean, injuries to your brain are certainly higher on like the worrisome list than anything else. Like, you need that part. That's kind of important. Yeah. But I just saw a comment that I do want to throw up from FF Chef. The disrespect for Landry has been real. Someone that is in this tier and someone to talk about. I mean, Jarvis Landry is someone that if you took him where you did last year, you were just reaping the benefits of so much good value on that because he just became the guy.
Still got peppered with targets. And everywhere Jarvis Landry goes is going to be peppered with targets because he's just someone that knows how to get open and he understands how to play the game of football at a very high level. The only thing when it comes to Jarvis Landry, though, and the thing that why he's falling is, one, because of an offseason hip surgery, I believe it is, or a hip injury that, nagged into the offseason. And then when you also look at the fact that Kevin Stefanski is there and primarily they ran the football in Minnesota, then you add the fact that they drafted Jedrick Wills and they added Jack Conklin and they've got Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt and they should be able to run the football. And then not to mention, they only set the tight end market with Austin Hooper. Just a lot of mouths.
To feed.
And his health is also in question. I still think he's properly priced. It's just of this group of receivers. Personally, there's other guys I'd rather have in the 7th round.
Yeah. I mean, I like this comment from Tommy Garrett saying if he is healthy, Landry is a steal, in my opinion here. I mean, I think, yes, if he's healthy and he shows up the same way he did last year, I agree. I think that this is amazing value for him. But like you just brought up, it's a lot of mouths to feed. And it's funny because this time last year, I was part of it. We were all the hype train for the amazing high-powered offense that the Browns were going to be. And we were saying everyone was going to get an even amount of targets. Everyone's going to be feasting on these points. And it didn't shake out that way. So, I mean, for me, it's hard to put all my eggs in that basket. I'm keeping my eggs away from the Cleveland basket. Not that I'm biased, I'm not biased at all.
His floor, though, is what's the most intriguing thing in the seventh round. Like,
Yes.
if you decided to go zero receiver or whatever, and you don't want to, like, just try to hit home runs with every pick, I mean, Landry is a perfect example to go ahead and hit a single. But the only thing that makes it, like, I want to go in a direction other than Jarvis Landry right here is just his health. If I felt more comfortable that I knew he was healthy, then that's one thing. But we're not going to see anything in the preseason. We're just literally going to have to go off the words of what's going on with beat writers and, injury reports heading into week number 1. So if I'm drafting today, I'd rather have other guys.
Yeah, I get that. It is interesting, though, if you go zero wide receiver, like we're saying, and you swear to stock up here with the 6th and the 7th going back-to-back receivers, and you ended up with a combo like Marquise Brown and Jarvis Landry. I mean, you're kind of sitting pretty.
It's not bad. No, it's not bad at all. I personally, the reason why I'm a little bit higher, and I wanted to scroll down just to get these two names in here in this discussion, I'd rather have Tyler Boyd than Jarvis Landry. And I mean, I have my rant ready and teed up. But I want to get your thoughts on Tyler Boyd when it comes to, like, versus Jarvis Landry or versus Brandon Cooks. Like, where do you have Tyler Boyd or even Deontay Johnson, which, by the way, I know you have the Steelers, guard behind you.
You what? Oh, shit. Yeah,
yes, there.
My bad. I don't know.
Is your cat back there, too? Is Max chilling back there? I mean, he might be hiding.
No, it's way too hot here in California. He's found somewhere cool to chill out. He's knocked out somewhere. Thankfully.
Yeah, I've got a fan right next to this because apparently I've turned bright red on a lot of these things. Now it's blowing into the mic if you can't hear it. So I'm going to turn it. Anyway, point is, what are your thoughts on, like, Deontay Johnson and Tyler Boyd in with this tier? Are they – I'd rather have both of those guys than even definitely Michael Gallup. Michael Gallup has no damn reason to be going in the 7th round. Like,
you feel like that's too high for him?
100%. I mean, let's put it this way. A healthy Amari Cooper is going to see his targets. That man just got paid. And then they just spent Michael Gallup led the league in drops last season. That's another little fun fact. And what about CeeDee Lamb? CeeDee Lamb is by easily a far better player, even heading into the NFL, never played a snap, than Michael Gallup. CeeDee Lamb is, I believe, the best of what was a very deep and talented wide receiver group. And CeeDee Lamb is going to do his damn thing. Now, don't get me wrong, Gallup will still have a role, but for him to go before CeeDee Lamb is blasphemous.
I mean, I think this is just speaking to, caution this year. And I've been talking a lot about, playing it safe in drafting. And I feel like, to me, given obviously this COVID era and the fact that, we're not getting preseason games or not practicing the way that they normally would be by now. So we would have been hearing a lot of stuff and been geared up to watch CeeDee Lamb just show out at a preseason game. I feel like that's one reason why he's going so much later. And I think that's a steal where you can get him. But I feel like also it's a testament to, if you were to get Michael Gallup and start the season off with him, I mean, I feel like there's still targets to be had. Do I think that he loses his job by the end of this season to CeeDee Lamb? Sure. But I don't think that he immediately becomes a ghost of himself week 1.
So, in the fantasy football engineer, I want to just ask a question. I mean, what is Gallup's ceiling? I mean, he had a productive year last year, but is there any scenario where you actually see, when they drafted CeeDee Lamb in the 1st round, where he improves upon those numbers? If anything, I think he regresses a little bit.
I agree. I feel like he will regress, but what I'm saying is I don't think that regression and that immediately drop back is going to happen week 1. I think it's going to be over the course of the year. I feel like you're still going to have a good amount of targets to start the season off. I feel like it's going to be week 1, 2, 3, maybe by 4 or 5, we see CeeDee Lamb kind of take an uptick in targets, but it's just going to be something that they're going to have to develop as they go, because again, you're not being able to practice the same way. You're not getting those preseason games. You're not getting those reps, and you're going to be trying to make those completions to people that are familiar with everything. So I feel like I love CeeDee Lamb, totally on board. Dynasty, get him where you can, because he's going to be a big playmaker, and he's going to, I think, just revolutionize the position there in Dallas. I think he's going to be a fantastic talent. I'm not saying that he's not. I'm just saying, this is going to be a growing pain for Michael Gallup owners. If you're taking him, you just take him knowing there's a certain amount of time that you're going to have him, and then you're going to want to get him off your team.
Yeah.
And you're out. Just
there you go. Sign off. Mic drop. But for me in particular, the way I'm analyzing the situation is that CeeDee Lamb is going to predominantly take over what Michael Gallup's role was last year. Mm-hmm. And not to say that, Gallup he'll still have nice games. It's sure. You are not he's not going to be peppered with the amount of targets. And certainly he's not going to average the amount of targets that he did last year, which was what I thought made him such a nice buy. I mean, he averaged 8 targets per game last year. I just don't see that happening or him getting anywhere near that. I think that Lamb is going to finish closer to 8 targets a game than Gallup does, and I think he out targets him, period. So for me, for that reason, if there's a second wide receiver that I want to have stock in Dallas, for me, it's CeeDee Lamb. But I get it. I get the rookie argument when it comes to reps and stuff of that nature, a lack of preseason. I totally get that. Tyler Boyd, though, I want to just mention with Tyler Boyd, I don't trust AJ Green for a reason, and durability and the fact that he's unhappy with his contract. Whether Tyler Boyd has played with AJ Green in the lineup or whether he's been a solo act in Zach Taylor's offense just last season, Tyler Boyd has finished as a top 20 PPR receiver regardless. And for that reason, he's the best of the bunch that we've even discussed yet. He's at the top of my list. So Boyd, I think, is a chronically underrated, underappreciated, and gets an upgraded quarterback with Joe Burrow. I'm super high on Tyler Boyd. If you get him in the 7th or 8th round, consider yourself lucky. I would still take him and feel comfortable about it in the 6th.
I mean, I definitely can see that argument. And I think that, the Cincinnati wide receivers are going to be very interesting. I feel like because, the Bengals are rebuilding, and they're rebuilding, I think, kind of from the top down in a weird way, with Burrow and the amazing talent that he is. But I feel like they're going to be playing from behind a lot. Mm-hmm. They're going to have to throw it a ton. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of speed on this team and a lot of opportunities for these receivers. So to me, a late round Cincinnati receiver that's healthy, Tyler Boyd is a great grab, especially in this round. I mean, I think that when you're shoring up these positions, what you want is volume. So you're not going to get anything better than volume there, where they're going to be throwing it a lot because they're down, and you've got Burrow who wants to prove himself. And I think that, this is going to be an offense that's worth watching and worth taking a little bit of stock in.
Agreed. And then one thing about Deontay Johnson at the beginning of the 8th round. Look, Deontay Johnson led all rookie receivers, and it was a pretty damn good rookie receiver group last year. Mm-hmm. And we're drafting some of these guys pretty damn high. And of all those rookie receivers, it was Deontay Johnson that led them all in receptions. It was Deontay Johnson who led them all in average separation created throughout the entire season. The dude just knows how to get open. The dude knows how to play football. He is a gamer. He's everything I expected and hoped that Zay Jones would have been once upon a time. And he did this all with Devlin Duck Hodges and Mason Rudolph under center. You give me a healthy Big Ben, and I think Deontay Johnson is going to do his thing. That's all.
That's all, folks. And we don't need to say much more than that. No, I mean, I've definitely said it before on other podcasts. I mean, the Steelers are an offense that will throw a lot. Historically, they do. They have a program almost, which feels kind of like a high school class, where you have, a senior to elite level veteran receiver, and then you have the upcoming class, and you just watch them trickle and matriculate through the system. And then, you have star power. They're just so good at shoring up this receiver position. And Deontay Johnson is going to be a fixture of it. I mean, Juju Smith had an amazing year, his first year being behind Antonio Brown, but he ate so much fantasy points. This is just an offense that you're going to want a part of. And to get Deontay Johnson here, I think is fantastic value.
I just wonder when it comes to Juju Smith-Schuster, and I want to get your opinion. You're the Steelers fan. You're the Steelers enthusiast. Was Juju Smith-Schuster's immense production before the age of 23? Was that in large part due to the fact that he was playing with Antonio Brown? Was it because he was playing with Antonio Brown, or is Juju Smith-Schuster in his own right a stud? Last year, we didn't get those answers because Ben wasn't playing.
Ben wasn't playing. He was dinged up himself. I mean, he was concussed badly in one game for sure. But no, I think that Juju Smith is an incredible talent on his own, and we're going to see him prove that this year. And I think that the weapons that they've put around him to open him up and give him more opportunity are going to be huge. I mean, they've also added Chase Claypool, who is a huge deep threat, red zone target for Ben. Another player that's going to be pulling coverages. You're going to have to cover him. He's a skyscraper. He's a big dude. He's
yoked up. He's a mini DK Metcalf.
He's not mini. I just,
No, yeah, I'm being sarcastic.
He's a big dude. But I mean, I'm gonna just leave it with this and leave it with a comment here that I just got from Tommy Garrett saying the Steelers are also going to win the Super Bowl, and I refuse to hear otherwise. Sir, I agree with you. We have the potential. We could do it if we stay healthy. Fingers crossed. Knock on wood. Knock on all the things. It could happen. We have an incredible defense. Sorry, defense wins championships too. Don't even get me started. We can have a separate podcast all about the Steelers and why they're going to win the Super Bowl. And then you can tell me why the Bucs are going to win it. And then we'll not talk about it.
I don't think as much as I'm a cockeyed Bucs fan and, I have the Bucs old shirt on and I don't even know which one. I'm looking in the screen and I'm turning the wrong way, but I've got the Bucs helmet in the background. I don't think they're winning the Super Bowl, but we can argue. We can go ahead and, we can live in a fantasy land from time to time.
I mean, we live in the fantasy football world. We might as well, pound the drum on our own teams. It's 2020.
Time to campaign. Yep, it's time to campaign for the Bucs.
Don't even tell me nothing is possible. Thank you, Tommy. I appreciate you. It's 2020. We don't know what we're going to get. We don't know.
Damn good point.
Yes.
So
he's not messing with me. He's just getting me pumped up. Help him carry me through. I appreciate it. But no, I think Deontay Johnson's going to be a great talent, and I feel like all of the receivers are going to just feast on points as long as Ben can stay healthy, and he looks good. He finally trimmed the beard.
Healthy, yeah, I mean, Big Ben's going to do his thing if he's healthy, so I 100% agree with that. So we
do the things,
some of those things, so the quarterback things, they're pretty good. All right, we're in the 8th round now as we're getting close to, wrapping things up here on this ADP study. But we've got Deebo Samuel halfway through the 8th round. We've got Marvin Jones, chronically underappreciated, it seems like every single fantasy draft, every single season. Emmanuel Sanders changing places from the 49ers to the New Orleans Saints. And then, of course, we already talked about CeeDee Lamb, and really a name that's kind of interesting. The first receiver drafted in 2020 was Henry Ruggs out of the University of Alabama to the Oakland, now Las Vegas Raiders. So of this group, we've got some floor guys, we've got some ceiling guys. What do you make of all this?
Well, I mean, the latest on Deebo Samuel is that I believe Kyle Shanahan is saying that there is a potential that he will be available week 1. So there is a chance. They're telling me
there's a chance. Dumb and Dumber, you're telling me there's a chance.
He did have a foot fracture, and so he's coming back from that, which, I mean, no one ever likes. I mean, how many times have we seen a receiver who, needs to have power from the foot, push off, re-break their foot? So I'm very, very nervous to take a receiver with an injury like that. So to me, I'm fading Samuel in a couple leagues just because I feel like they're going to be hesitant to really push him that hard as well. He'll be available, but is it he'll be just bench warming available? Will he be full good to go? I would rather wait and see than grab him where he's at and, risk that option. That makes me nervous. Does it make you nervous?
Yeah. Where the hell do the targets go though? Is it Brandon Ayuk or is it
Brandon Ayuk?
Jalen Hurts also, it looks like he's going to be out for the season.
There's a ceiling on the targets.
We had one of their receivers also opt out. I mean, I think this just all equals more George Kittle volume, which means I was already high on George Kittle, and just makes me even love him that much more because he's awesome and he just got a big payday and all the above. But maybe even a healthy Jerick McKinnon, cough, starts to get involved a little bit. Some good things coming out of the camp there for the 49ers for Jerick McKinnon. But, they also have another wide receiver rookie, Juwan Jennings, I believe it is, that's getting reps. Trent Taylor, Kendrick Bourne. Is there anybody worth, taking a late round stab at just in case Samuel is not healthy?
I mean, I like Brandon Ayuk as a late round steal.
Yeah.
But I mean, if Samuel is healthy, then yes, he is definitely a steal here. Seeing that go off in the comments, I agree. But I do also think that there is a cap on these targets. I mean, San Francisco is a run-first offense.
Mm-hmm.
So you already know any of those guys. It's going to be hard to see 1,000 yards out of any of them. The only one that you can kind of, put your hat on and know that you're going to get 1,000 receiving yards is going to be George Kittle. He's the main threat there in the receiving game. And so to me, like here, I would rather have someone else that has possible higher potential for more targets.
Forgive me, I'm making myself a drink. Sorry.
Looks like you are. Yeah, that's fine.
Yep.
You got the Tito's?
Fancy debate. I mean, I don't have to work tomorrow, so I'm just having a fun time. But
why does no one have to work tomorrow? Bucks doesn't have to work tomorrow either. Like, where did I not get this memo?
Look, hold on. I'm covering for somebody for the weekend. So, I mean, like, that's why. I'm working the weekend. I've got Thursday and Friday off. So tonight's my pseudo Friday night.
Gotcha. That's good. I follow.
Thanks. And by the way, it's Brandon Ayuk, the guy that you want to own, you want to take a stab at. It's
just
Brandon.
It's super fun to say his name too.
Oh God, I mean, I got to stop it with the Street Fighter reference, Ayuk and all that stuff. I mean, I've used it once. I don't need to be doing it all damn season. But I will say this: I love his route running ability and his playmaking ability after the catch. And if there's a guy that could fill into what they like, Kyle Shanahan can scheme into a game as a wide receiver that can just make plays out on the edge with the ball in his hands, it's Ayuk of this group. So for me, I mean, especially now that Jalen Hurd is out. So
yeah. No, I think that makes sense. How do you feel about Marvin Jones here? Because I feel like Marvin Jones is one of those players that he always ends up on my team, but I'm never like super excited about it. He's not a sexy pick to me anymore. Like he'll sometimes have a big game and like, yay, that's awesome. But I don't know. Am I just off the train? Like, you're falling out of love. What's wrong with me?
I think everybody's a little bit low on Marvin Jones. Again, and it's weird because you want to say, oh, well, he's kind of a ho-hum, not exciting player. The dude can boom. He scored 4 touchdowns against the Minnesota Vikings in one game.
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, the dude has big playability, and I know he's 30 years old. It's not the sexy pick though. That's the thing. It's like, we like to sit here and debate about, players that are sleepers and players that are like, with high upside and I like to be a fantasy hipster from time to time, and it's got me in some deep shit in some of my leagues. So Marvin Jones is one of those guys that doesn't feel like a sexy pick, but at his ADP in an offense, and speaking of defenses that are dog shit and are teams that are going to be playing from behind on a regular basis, Marvin Jones is a guy that I want plenty of shares of.
Sure. And then you do have Stafford who's coming back healthy. He was on a great pace last year before he was hurt. So, I mean, the potential's there. I mean, I get it. I could see it. I mean, I don't know that I own Jones in a lot of leagues, but maybe I'll be, I'll rekindle that flame. See if I can grab a couple Marvin Jones.
Are you going to send Marvin Jones the "you up" text? Not literally. I mean, doesn't sound right.
Maybe. No.
I've never done that to I mean, as much as I again, I know Tyler Higbee personally. I've never sent him like a fantasy football question at a late hour. Like, dude, I need your help. I mean, who the hell am I starting on the Rams offense this week? Never done that. I haven't gone to that level with Tyler Higbee yet.
That's good. I'm proud of you. I'm glad that you've restrained yourself this long. I'm sure that took a lot. But someone I would send the "you up" text to would be CeeDee Lamb here at 902. I mean, I would definitely take him there.
100%. I already talked about CeeDee Lamb. I love CeeDee Lamb. I think he's the best receiver in this draft. So at this position, I love it. But Sanders is somebody that I'm fading at this point. I mean, outside of Kamara and Michael Thomas, I feel like all those other pass catchers in New Orleans they rotate and have very high volatile weeks. One week they're great, and the next week they're not involved because Breeze is just going where the defense is dictating. So, that's why I'm fading Emmanuel Sanders at that draft price. I'd rather have Henry Ruggs. And I want to What are your
there? I would rather have CeeDee Lamb. There, I don't know about Henry Ruggs. I mean, just because if you're comparing him to Sanders, I feel like there is a floor. Oh my god!
Whoopsie.
I think there's a better floor of consistency maybe with Sanders in that he is a veteran receiver with Breeze. I feel like there is going to be usage there. So I feel like Ruggs is just a bit more of a question mark. There's just a lot going on in Vegas. And I don't know if that's just me wanting to wait and see and thinking all of these, people are really just there to help open up Josh Jacobs, and it's going to be Josh Jacobs' year again, which is what I really want because I've got him in Dynasty too, and I heart Josh Jacobs. I would send the up text to him at any hour.
Duke and ball. And he's sitting there kind of chirping about catching 60 passes in a season or something like that. Look, I appreciate your optimism, Josh Jacobs, and I love hearing that in a PPR. But when it comes to Henry Ruggs, though, we've seen in the past from John Gruden that he's willing to pepper his number one target or passing option in his offense with targets. We saw it back in Tampa Bay back in the day. We've even seen it in glimpses here with the Las Vegas Raiders, and last season in particular with Darren Waller. The one thing that I hate about this Raiders passing offense is that I don't know if I can trust Derek Carr.
And I think that's the key here because, the consistency there for Carr. Yes, he had 4,000 yards last year, but I just don't. 21 touchdowns. That number should be higher.
With how much they're playing
for 4,000 yards, that should have been higher. When they're always behind, yeah, I don't know. To me, that's the thing that kind of throws the numbers for me there. Yes, they could be peppering him a lot, but just getting in that end zone with him, I think is going to be a struggle.
Well, he's obviously he's tiny,
he's talented, and he can do it. Yes,
he's tiny, so he's not going to get red zone looks unless they're like jet sweeps or screens or something like that. He's going to see a very low volume in goal to go situations, I imagine. But Ruggs, if they scheme him in, and which John Gruden, say what you want, John Gruden can scheme all he wants. It's whether Derek Carr can actually hit on those plays that are dialed up from Gruden. Like Spider 2Y banana, man, I tell you, he's just got to, hit the Y on the banana from time to time. Derek Carr, I tell you, man, he can play. But
you're funny.
I try to be funny. I'm not. But anyway, look, we've heard things again. Camp Tyler, we were talking about it earlier. You got to sort through some of that stuff. Some of it feels like fake news from beat writers. I don't doubt that Brian Edwards has probably made a couple nice catches and done some nice things. And certainly there's an opportunity for Edwards because of what you've got, Tyrell Williams. I like Hunter Renfrow. The one thing that sucks is that Hunter Renfrow proved that he could play last season, especially finishing his campaign with 2 straight 100-yard games.
Yes.
He's a good slot player.
Yeah.
It's just when they're talking about playing Henry Ruggs in the slot, what does that tell me? That means that if
there's
you're
slots everywhere.
I'm saying the slot receiver, the high volume person in Las Vegas in the past,
everyone play the slot.
Is going to be a PPR producer. That's all I'm trying to say. And I feel like Ruggs, if you give him a high target volume with his big playability, that's a match made in heaven. Yeah. And I think that he is worth he's worth the dart throw in the 9th round because of his upside.
Yeah, I agree. Let's scroll down. Who we got?
I will scroll down. I'm the one controlling that, aren't I?
You are. I tried to scroll and I can't. It makes me sad. Whoops. I like driving the car.
So, Mecole Hardman, Tyreek Hill just tweaked his hamstring today. For those of you that may not have caught it on Twitter.
Thoughts and prayers.
Yeah, I just hope that he ends up getting healthy, and it really is just a mild strain. But Mecole Hardman is going at 909 right now in 12-team formats. Then you got Darius Sleighton, which we have all the Giants. He's the first of the Giants wide receivers that we've mentioned. Yes. So Sleighton at the end of the 9th round. Same thing with Jamison Crowder. Crowder averaging right around that same exact spot. I thought Crowder was very good last year, given how bad that Jets offense was, in particular the passing game. Yeah. And then we got Jerry Jeudy at 10:06, Christian Kirk at 10:08, and another rookie with explosive talent at 10:10, in Jalen Ray. So this group, this flock, what do you got?
I mean, I think I don't know why it made me laugh when you said flock. I don't know why. I'm dying.
I know.
But I think when I'm looking at this tier here, and based on Mecole Hardman, obviously, yes, Hill did get hurt, but he's not dead. He's fine. Like, I mean, I'd still want him. Like, that's not changing. He's going to play. So to me, I would rather of this group have starting wide receivers that are at the wide receiver 1 position, which is what you have in Sleighton and Crowden at this value. That's fantastic. And I think there's kind of a nowhere to go but up type of mindset for me on these players. Like, it's going to get better. And they had great years last year, and it can only really go up from here. Like, there's a lot that Daniel Jones needs to prove with himself, and he has found a really good rhythm with Sleighton. So I feel like he's going to have a lot of options there. And then for Crowder, again, Darnold is awake. He's not seeing ghosts. You know, he's got to put it together. And I think the player he's going to put it together with is going to be Jamison Crowder. So great value here, I think, for these receivers.
So it depends on what it really, I think more so depends on what the construction of your roster is at this current point in the draft, right? If you have a bunch of high floor guys, then there's no real need to take Jamison Crowder if you've already got like Tyler Boyd and Robert Woods on your roster. You've already got those high floor players. What you want is somebody that can hit home runs from time to time. I mean, sure, Crowder's still a nice depth option, but me personally, if I already have a couple guys that I trust as a weekly floor, I want to balance that out. Mm-hmm. Like, it's like a portfolio, right? You want you want some low risk, stocks and stuff like that, and then you want some ones that you feel like can boom. You want that on your fantasy team too. In particular, in the later rounds are some of the greatest times to take chances like that. So for me in particular, Mecole Hardman, it's too high for a player that only saw a max of 6 targets in a game last year.
Yeah.
And think about how many talented pass catchers there are. Mm-hmm. Sure, his efficiency should be good. And he will pop a big play from time to time, certainly. And they even get it into his hands as far as jet sweeps and stuff of that nature. I mean, Hardman's a good player, but he's more of a cog in that offense than he is.
He's not a fixture.
Exactly. And I know that, Mahomes could blow up and throw 50 scores, and he could make me look bad for that reason. But for me,
I would rather have Mahomes make me look bad.
100, me too, which could happen. It may be likely, but Darius Sleighton, I actually prefer Sleighton of all the pass catchers there in New York, but I find myself like that feels like a wide receiver committee. Like it
will be until one of them kind of, takes it and runs with it, so to speak. But I feel like Sleighton has that potential.
He does. He's by far the best 50-50 ball player of all those guys. I thought that he was way craftier as a route runner than I thought coming out of college. And the rapport that he developed with Daniel Jones, you can't ignore it. And he kind of burst onto the scene, and you expect that he'll take steps in the right direction. It's just a healthy Evan Ingram is the thing that's kind of the monkey wrench in this entire situation. We just don't know. If Ingram's healthy, he could be the most targeted player in the entire offense and really muddy the situation for all the receivers, particularly 2 slot guys that get open on a regular basis in Sterling Shepard and Golden Tate. But when it comes to the other guys down at the bottom, personally, I think Jerry Jeudy is somebody I'm fading. I just, when it comes to Cortland Sutton, he is the top dog in this passing offense. I know KJ Hamler is dealing with an injury now, but Hamler is going to be involved. Noah Fant's going to be involved. Jerry Jeudy is a talented player, but I don't know what the hell to expect from Drew Lock. So I don't know what the targets are going to look like. So I'm fading Jeudy for the fact that it's a crowded receiver room, and the fact that Drew Lock, we just don't know what to expect. But Jalen Reagor and Christian Kirk are 2 guys that I think that are ones that I am targeting in every draft right around here. Reagor over Kirk. And hear me out.
I will.
Hear me out.
Go for it. Do it. Do your
I
thing.
will. Give me a second. Deshaun Jackson. How did Deshaun Jackson vibe with the likes of Carson Wentz last year? Pretty good when he was healthy.
When healthy, yeah, pretty good.
Really damn good, actually, when he was healthy. It wasn't very long, but when he was healthy, he was a weapon. And reason
Freak
being,
flash.
Carson Wentz is one of the best deep ball throwers in the entire National Football League. And you have a deep threat that reminds me a little bit of Tyreek Hill. He's not that fast, but he's somebody that plays through contact well, and you can get him the ball, whether it's just on a little screen or a little tap pass, or you can get him vertical. And Jalen Reagor with two tight ends that can absolutely occupy safeties and linebackers, and you have to respect them. And the running game, by the way, with hopefully Miles Sanders is okay, but I mean, it's still a dominant unit up front for the offensive line. Reagor is somebody that could just explode. And I know his consistency may be a little bit shoddy to start off, but once he gets it, and you got Carson Wentz pulling the trigger, that's my guy. That is one of my guys that I see with a major boom potential in the back half of the draft.
I mean, okay, so I hear you on all these things, but
why is there a but? I feel like there's a but coming.
I just to throw out some guys that also get a lot of targets. Zach Ertz and Dallas Goedert kind of take a lot of targets away from the receivers. And I mean, I'm excited for Reagor. I feel like it's great for them to have another big receiver for this team, but it does give me pause. Like, how many targets is he going to get? What is his ceiling? What is his floor? I don't know that I have 110% certainty that he's going to get this floor that everyone's talking about. I'm just a little hesitant.
So again, this is not somebody, if you're faced with a decision between him and Jamison Crowder, right? And you need someone that you can rely on to fill your starting roster, and you want that like floor person, then don't take Jalen Reagor because he's a chance. Like he comes with a ton of risk involved.
Yes. For that, I would say Kirk for me then.
Correct. All right, and then Kirk, we've seen what Kirk can do, and that was with Kirk playing with a hurt ankle last year. And now you got DeAndre Hopkins on the other side that's going to draw all kinds of attention away, which, by the way, I think that actually helps Christian Kirk because Kirk wasn't a true number one wide receiver in the National Football League. He is a high-end number two, a la like Stephon Diggs with Adam Thielen on the other end. I think he can be a highly efficient, explosive talent on the opposite of a true big-time talent on the other side. And some will argue with me that Diggs is more talented than Thielen, but you get what I'm going at. And in particular, in this air raid offense with Kyler Murray pulling the trigger, yeah, I like Kirk a lot right there.
Yeah, for sure. Really quick from the FF engineer, Reagor or Lamb 2020? I'm going Lamb.
Again, this is a floor ceiling conversation. I think that the fact that Gallup and Cooper are there in town limit Lamb's ceiling. However, if I'm looking for a potential boom player, it's Reagor, but I do think that CeeDee Lamb has a higher floor, if that makes sense. Because
I feel like Lamb finishes higher.
You feel like Lamb finishes higher? I'm actually going to go Reagor. If like total fantasy points, I think he's a little bit more volatile. But at the end, when it's all said and done, I think that he has more total points and he comes on strong towards the end of the year.
All right. We can make a bet. I know I still owe you a hat, so maybe I can
redeem myself with this one. You do. And look at my hair and look at my hairline. In particular,
I should have bought you a hat by now.
I need a hat for this podcast. Please help a brother out here. Sure. Let's go ahead and we can go ahead and scroll down. We're now into the 10th round, and rather than kind of breaking down every single round, I want to say now that we're past the 10th round, who are like maybe 2 or 3 players that you are really targeting as far as dart throws at the wide receiver position that you really feel that will bring value to anybody's team?
I really like Justin Jefferson. It's funny. My cousin calls me once in a while and asks me for, hey, cuz, I need some of that football advice because and I say, okay, like, what do you need? Just give me some late round guys that you think I need to stash. And I feel like Justin Jefferson is one that, for me, he plays in a dynasty league. And so I feel like Justin Jefferson's someone that, if you're playing dynasty especially, he's someone that I definitely think you should take a late round flyer on just to stash him. Because I think that the second wide receiver there in Minnesota is going to see, a pretty decent floor and some potential. Thielen is getting older. Someone's going to need to be the receiver there. And I feel like, yes, they're still a run-first team. Cook, I mean, you're the best one to know on the holdout conversation, but how are we looking with Dalvin Cook?
We're looking all right. I mean, we're looking okay. We're looking okay.
We're looking okay. Not tons, not like amazing. We're not looking amazing. We're looking like a question mark.
Just a
question mark. So to me, I want another weapon on that team that they can rely on. And I feel like Justin Jefferson's going to have a lot of great potential this year. So that's someone that to me, I would love to stash if I can. And we mentioned him earlier. Brandon Ayuk is also on a couple of my boards. He's someone that I would love to stash as well.
Okay. I do want to hit you with this question before I kind of jump into mine. Victor Jace, what's up, my man? Ayuk, or I'm assuming this is Anthony Miller.
Yes, I believe so, because they're right next to each other there on the ADP. It's tough because, I mean, I guess the real question is, I mean, how much faith do you have in Chicago? I feel like I like the options. I like the potential, which has a higher floor. Maybe Anthony Miller has a slightly higher floor just because the Niners are such a run-heavy team.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's just not going to hit 1,000 yards. He's just not. So maybe I have to give the slight edge there to Miller, but I don't know. When you're taking a dart throw, I'd rather risk it on a player that has this potential upside that Ayuk has than someone that kind of know what he is.
You're doing
the
a nerve there.
I did. I tweaked something. All right, let's hear it.
Don't do that. We don't know what Anthony Miller is because, at least I don't. In the National Football League, and this is where I'm going, and this is why I disagree, respectfully. He's been dealing with a shoulder injury since pretty much he entered the NFL. Mm-hmm. And of course, the inconsistent quarterback play, you can definitely cite that. We don't even know whoever the opening day starter is in Chicago, there's no guarantee that they finish the season as a starter.
True.
But I will say this, that Anthony Miller looked pretty damn good when Taylor Gabriel was not playing.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't have a tight end really to speak of. They added Jimmy Graham. They drafted Cole Kmet. I just really think that Anthony Miller, with no Taylor Gabriel to really steal a ton of targets away, like Miller gives me a nicer floor. And I agree with you about the floor because, look, when it comes to Brandon Ayuk, I mean, this is a run-heavy team where Kittle is going to see the most targets. Always. And then if Deebo Samuel is healthy to start the year, let's just say he makes it for week 1, Sam.
Mm-hmm.
What is Ayuk's role?
It's not. I mean, it's like he's there.
Does he have a
potential for a no?
Does he have a guaranteed floor targets? I'm just asking.
He doesn't have a guaranteed floor targets.
Right. So there's way more risk involved when it comes to Brandon Ayuk than it comes to Anthony Miller.
Sure.
Of course, the upside is definitely there with Ayuk. I love him as a player, and I think he will definitely have an impact, and anybody that drafts him, he will get a couple big weeks. I'm sure that Shanahan will scheme him in properly. Mm-hmm. It's just, you mentioned, heavy run team, Deebo Samuel lurking, and Kittle is the most targeted player there. And I think that Miller has a significant chance to be the second most targeted Chicago Bear pass catcher this upcoming season behind Allen Robinson.
Potential.
Thank you for that finishing off my sentence for me.
You're welcome. I hope that was helpful.
Okay, so
you have your guys and I have mine. They don't have.
It's my turn. So you went with Justin Jefferson, right?
Yeah.
So there's a couple other guys, and I'm going to stop right here because he's the only guy in green right here. It's Preston Williams.
I like that one.
Look, this Miami offense, did they get better with the potential of Tua Tagovailoa taking over under center? They certainly didn't get worse. Whether it's Ryan Fitzpatrick or whether it's Tua under center for 2020 for the Miami Dolphins, I think they're going to be playing from behind a lot. Another team that's going to be throwing the football a lot.
Yep.
And guess who was the most productive receiver in receptions and yards while healthy to start the season last year in Miami? It was Preston Williams. Even more so than Devonte Parker, who we just talked about.
Yes.
So I understand that he's coming off of a torn ACL. I get that. But he's been cleared for all football activities. And right now, in the 13th round, give me Preston Williams. I like Preston Williams quite a bit. And I mean, do you have anything to add on Preston Williams? I know you said you liked it, and I'm flattered that you actually agreed with one of my picks.
Oh my God. Yes, I do. I feel like Preston Williams is someone that, a lot of people are not talking about, kind of talking about a little bit. Another great value late stash. When you're trying to stash away these players, and the reason why we say stash, you just want them because they have a potential for points. I think that Preston Williams is someone that speaks volumes to that. So I do like him a lot for this late round, especially where you can get him.
I got one more name for you.
Oh, just one.
I've got 6, but I want to make sure everybody gets to bed at a reasonable hour. Steven Sims Jr. for the Washington Redskins. We're talking deep
stash. This is like if you've got 22 bench spots.
You know what? I took him in our 15-team league, and I've only got like 6 bench spots in our fantasy.
Because you like to live dangerously.
It has nothing to do with being dangerous. Watch the film. Steven Sims Jr. is explosive. He creates separation with ease, and he's a playmaker that you just need to get the ball in his hands. And I thought that once Dwayne Haskins took over under center, that he peppered this young man with targets. And they really developed a damn good rapport in a short amount of time. He scored 4 touchdowns over the last 3 games, saw at least 7 or more targets, including double digits targets twice, and seeing at least 7 targets each of the last 4 games of the season with Dwayne Haskins under center, and caught at least 4 balls. So, and he's got big playability out of the slot. And he plays in a division where I'm not scared of any of the secondaries, whether it's the Philadelphia Eagles or the Dallas Cowboys. I just really like Steven Sims Jr. He is flying so far under the radar, and he's not just another slot guy. This dude has big play potential when he gets the ball in his hands. So give me Steven Sims Jr. We've also seen Kelvin Harmon get injured. They drafted Antonio Gandy Golden. I just don't see anybody getting him off the football field. He'll beat out Trey Quinn. Mm-hmm. So Steven Sims Jr. in a deep PPR league, that's my guy.
All right. I love that. That's a very deep stash, but those are the ones and the names that people need to write down and just take note of as they go into these drafts and they're building up.
I got you covered.
Tate's got you guys covered with the deep call there. As we wrap this up again, guys, we did cover part 2. So that meant we started around the 6th round of Fantasy Football Calculator's PPR ADP rankings. So if you want to catch part 1, please go ahead and go to YouTube or Spotify or iTunes or anywhere that you digest your podcast to catch up on that part 1 of our ADP study for wide receivers, and go back and check out the other ones that we did for other positions as well. Let's go ahead and get a little off the rails because Victor Jays is basically demanding it right now. Okay. Which I appreciate. We love you.
Let's
Victor.
do it.
He wants to know our top 3 favorite Mark Wahlberg movies.
Okay. Do you want me to start?
Let's go. Should we do this draft style where you pick one, I pick one, and then you're not allowed to repick it?
I don't even know if I'm that well versed in Mark Wahlberg movies to be able to
pull up IMDb really quick. It's like cheating.
All right. Let's do this draft style. Who gets the first pick? Rock, paper, scissors.
Okay. Ready?
Damn it.
I rock.
I
go first. I got first.
All right. Go ahead.
I'm gonna go Departed with my 101. For Mark Wahlberg. I feel like he's a scene stealer in The Departed.
Shit.
He's so good. He's so good in Departed. It's like the role was made for him. So to me, I had to go Departed. I kind of feel like it's self-explanatory. If you have not seen it, fix your life and go watch it because it's a fantastic movie.
Son of a bitch. Okay.
You're welcome.
Now I'm in big trouble because now I have nothing. That was my easy 101. Easy one. Okay. This really sucks.
You're welcome.
All right. So second Mark Wahlberg movie though. I don't even know his like character's name. I just that's the only thing with when it comes to Mark Wahlberg movies. I never look at him like I can't name his actual character other than The Departed.
Yeah.
Where his actual name matters at all.
Sure.
As far as the character, because I'm just like I'm looking at it, and I'm like I'm just watching Mark Wahlberg do his thing. But what was the name of the movie? Was it called The Fighter?
Yeah, The Fighter with Christian Bale.
Christian Bale, even though Christian Bale, completely outacted him, but he does that to everybody. I thought that his representation of, oh my God, Arturo Gatti and Mickey Ward was awesome. I thought that his performance was great. And, he just got to use that accent of his, and it was awesome. I really enjoyed his performance in that.
Nice. No, that's a good pick. All right. So my next one, I think that what's great about Mark Wahlberg, and I'm just going to take this one now because I want to, is that he's one of those guys that can do the serious role that you just take, like he gets on the screen, he commands the screen. And in any of these action movies, he's in so many great ones, he's so good at dominating. But what he's also really good at for someone that has that timing and has obviously, the classic Hollywood guy, good looks, he also has an amazing sense of humor. And I think that his comedic timing is impeccable. So I got to pick Ted for my next one of his. It's too damn quotable and just so freaking good.
Fair enough.
Did I just ruin you?
I mean, yeah, I was thinking about going in that direction, but it is what it is. It's fine. Speaking of comedic genius from time to time, he's kind of a down on his luck police officer in the movie The Other Guys. Mm-hmm. So give me Terry Hoyts. Give me Terry Hoyts. He's the Yankee Clipper. He shot Derek Jeter.
So freaking good.
Did you scream America when you stepped on the gas? Like, he's like, there's no way that's your wife or some shit like that.
No, there's no way that's your wife. There's no way that's your wife.
I mean, what was it?
I'm a people. You gotta let me fly.
Eva Mendes. Yeah. Oh my God.
So good.
Eva Mendes rules. Anyway, so yeah, give me him and The Other Guys.
Love it. No, that's a great one too.
Don't they get in a silent fight or something like that too? Where Michael Keaton's like trying to break everybody up in the silent fight or some shit?
Something like that for sure. Okay, so for my other one, I guess this is tough. I see a lot of people commenting on different movies here, and I'm going back and forth on my last one here. I think I'm going to have to go with Shooter, just because it's one of those movies that I will literally watch from whatever I start seeing it. So like if it shows up on like A&E or some other channel and it's on, I will stop what I'm doing and I'll just finish watching that movie. I just feel like it's such a fun story. He's the underdog. He's playing a very Jason Bourne-esque character in the movie where he's trying to, fight for, his freedom, and he's trying to fight for, he was accused of something he didn't do. And I think it's just such a solid movie.
I never saw Shooter.
So good.
Is it good? I'll take the time to watch it. I will.
So good. Yeah.
Okay. So I respect the Shooter pick, but and I wanted to save the best for last when it comes to this. And I'm glad you didn't pick it because I would have been screwed. I don't know. I would have had to pick like Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch or some shit like that. Anyway, there is something. I was a former walk-on to the University of South Florida. And there's something about a dude that just, walks onto a team like Rudy and stuff like that. And I'm thinking Invincible.
Yep.
His portrayal of Vince Papale was awesome. It wasn't your typical, like I could have gone with Four Brothers where he was an asshole and he just talks shit the whole time to his brothers and enemies and stuff like that. Like, I don't get me wrong. I love that part of Mark Wahlberg too. And I agreed The Departed was the 101 and Sergeant Dingman. He was great. But I thought that he showed some depth and some range when it comes to his portrayal of Vince Papale.
Yeah.
I thought that he did a great job, kind of portraying an athlete, but also like scenes where he like would go and play just like tackle football in like a just a random street yard, like and shit like that. Like there's just something about it that really hit home with me, and I thought his performance was great. So yeah, it's invincible for me.
Yeah. No, I like that movie too. And I think honorable mentions, I mean, you mentioned Four Brothers, but it's got to be Italian Job and Patriots Day for me as honorable mentions to bring up too. Because I mean, Italian Job's another one that I mean.
Wait. What movie did they shoot his dog? Like
that was Shooter.
What sick twisted actually puts in writing like, hey, I'm gonna go ahead and kill off a dog? Like,
well, they do it in John Wick. We wouldn't have had any John Wick movies if they didn't kill his puppy.
I know. I hate that shit though. Like
it sucks. That's why
I stopped watching John Wick when I saw the dog got killed. I hate that shit. I hate it. I hate killing dogs.
But then he avenged him by murdering so many people.
Yeah. Yeah, John Wick got his revenge. I expect that. But yeah, I mean, Tyler's just saying that's the whole plot of John Wick.
Yeah, I know. Like, don't take the dogs. Like, ever. I mean, I Am Legend, Victor Jays brings up, it happens to the dog there too.
Oh, no.
Don't take the dogs. They're so pure of heart.
Stop doing that. I don't want to talk about dead dog. Like, we're going to have to do like an off the rails, but like have a tissue ready in a crying box, like ready for when we talk about dog deaths in cinema. I don't want to do it. It takes me to a bad place. I get sad.
For a crying box, couldn't you just take all the tissues out of the box and then just like hold the box under while you're crying so that they can catch the tears?
I mean,
you said crying box.
Logistically,
so
yes.
I'm trying to just think logistically what a crying box would look like.
Thank you. You're innovative. I mean, thank you. I mean,
you're welcome.
Sign us off.
Just trying to help you out, and then to sign us off, there, Knox is going to say bye, and thanks for tuning in, guys.
Don't you dare kill off Knox ever.
Oh, Knox will kill you. You see this?
Oh, I love
disaster.
Knox is my homie. Pound and Knox. Visual pound.
He's biting, but that's okay. Anyways, thanks guys for tuning in. This was a lot of fun for a Thursday night to just get caught up on our last parts of our ADP study. Again, if you haven't caught the other episodes, please go check them out on YouTube or Spotify or anywhere you digest our podcasts. We are part of the Fantasy Focus crew, proud of it. And please tune in for next week. If you haven't already, please hit subscribe. If you want to follow Derek, he is at dtater4 on all forms of social. I am at Samantha R. Holt on Twitter and at Sam_awesome on Instagram. So please go ahead and give us a follow if you can. We'd appreciate it. Have a great Thursday. Enjoy the rest of your week and your coming weekend. Love you guys.
And like saying this, until next time, later, says the Tater.